So maybe within this segment with me right now is Jeff Lax, a City College law professor at Kingsborough Community College and founder of Safe Campus, which advocates for Zionist Jews discriminated against and excluded on college campuses. And, of course, they're doing studies now to find out about anti-Semitism and how toxic the environment is in places like Columbia, Harvard, and around the country, especially at City College. Jeff, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Always great to be here.
All right, so we need might need your legal views, too, to see if the Supreme Court. All right, but first things first. We saw about the eruptions on your campus. We heard about it first when that commencement address a couple of years ago, the anti-American words that were coming out of your valedictorian's mouth. And we began to understand how bad things were at City College. Where are we at right now with the investigation about anti-Semitism in campus?
Well, a total sham settlement just happened between the Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights, which was investigating 9 different anti-Semitism Title VI actions filed by different plaintiffs in the City University of New York. And basically, the Office of Civil Rights gave a heads up to CUNY. This is not going well for you. There are going to be terrible findings that you contributed to a hostile environment for Jews and that you didn't properly investigate any of these cases, basically, that came before you. So they said to CUNY, why don't we settle? And which is a total sham because in a regular court, you don't settle between the judge and the wrongdoer. You have the plaintiff, the victim involved. The victims were not involved here at all. They had no say in whether a settlement should happen or not, or what the terms were. And the settlement, Brian, was a sham. They basically said that CUNY can investigate themselves. So hire their own investigative team and conduct an investigation themselves. And they also said that they can redo the investigations. And who's in charge of that? A woman by the name of Sally Abed Allah, who is the former director of one of the most extreme chapters of CARE, Minnesota, and the leader of the Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions movement, which is an anti-Semitic movement of that chapter. That's the chief diversity. That is the person in charge of all discrimination at CUNY.
So this is, and there's no financial settlement with anybody that's been?
No.
So how many students you think are affected by this? How many Jewish students do you have on campus?
Thousands. I mean, right. New York has thousands.
So are they as outraged as you are?
I don't even think a lot of them understand yet. Very few people have read the entire settlement agreement. I have read it, but most people have not read it.
How did you know that the government came to SUNY with this, came to City College with this assessment?
Well, I had a wonderful meeting actually on Tuesday in Chicago with Jim Jordan. We had a very small, intimate meeting that was off the record, so I can't talk about what was talked about in the meeting. But one of the people there was Ken Marcus, who was the former assistant secretary under President Trump of the Office of Civil Rights. And we talked about it a little bit, and he told me the way it works, which I was not familiar with, actually. And we spoke about the fact that the Office of Civil Rights, can go to the wrongdoers here at CUNY and say, let's work something out. It's really bad. And so he was, he has to be a little bit also diplomatic about it because he's the former secretary of that division, and he may be again if Trump wins re-election. So I can be honest, he has to be a little diplomatic about how good the division, the job they did was. And he was lukewarm. He did criticize them, not as much as I have, but he said basically they did say that CUNY committed violations of the Civil Rights Act. And that's, I'm happy with that part of it. And so am I, but I'm not happy with the settlement. The settlement is a sham. Allowing CUNY to investigate themselves is a joke.
Right. Would you be trying to get part of that investigation? Is it possible they'll ask you?
Is that a serious? Brian, they're trying to fire me. They put me under investigation.
Right now?
Well, I was exonerated because they hired an outside organization to investigate me. By the way, for what? For filing an anti-Semitism complaint against BDS activists. That's what I was investigated for. I have a clean record. I do a good job. They lost. I was exonerated. Luckily, because they didn't do it, they hired an outside investigation to do it. That I am the most hated person at that university.
So can you believe that there were protests at the October 7th exhibit downtown New York?
No, it's unbelievable. It's horrifying to the grandchild of a Holocaust survivor. It's horrifying.
So who are these people?
Well, people think it's students and involved in generally in all the protests, and it's really not students. I try to tell everybody, students want to go to college, get their degree, and get a good job. That's the 99.9% of students, and we all know that. And even within the activist students, most of them don't do these rallies. It's Marxist professors. The unions organize all this stuff. It is unbelievable. The unions help get the funding. We have emails. Our organization has received emails from the union, secret emails that they don't want anyone to see, but we have like sources embedded in the union, and they've sent us emails showing that they have collaborated with, for example, the settlements that were on the Gaza encampments. They actually collaborated with them and helped organize them and strategize with those students. So it's really the Marxist faculty. It's really right now a collaboration between Islamist radicals and Marxist radicals who have nothing in common except for one thing, and what is that? They both want to destroy America's infrastructure and our culture.
Are you shocked how this administration seems to have turned on Israel now?
I'm very upset. Am I shocked? No. This has been the direction. I don't like getting political, but to be honest, the Democratic Party has allowed people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar to be mainstreamed. They never should have allowed it. It's really a disgrace because the Republican Party, at the first mention of a white supremacist movement, will reject it immediately. And the Democratic Party needs to learn how to do the same thing with the Rashida Tlaibs and the Ilhan Omars. They should reject them out of hand.
Well, Liz Bowman looks like he's going to lose the primary. That'll be great. He couldn't be more anti-Semitic. He's trying desperate to find some Jewish friends. I want you to see hear the Prime Minister of Israel, and then we'll talk about what happened after he said this. Cut 19.
When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation. I said I deeply appreciated the support the U.S. has given Israel from the beginning of the war. But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. Secretary Blinken assured me that the administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case. It should be the case. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, "Give us the tools, we'll do the job." And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster.
Unbelievable. He said that, and the administration is beside himself. Not saying he's not telling the truth, but because he did. They want to keep this behind closed doors. Your reaction?
Yeah, it's. I don't know what to say except for that this has been a bipartisan issue for so many decades, and it should remain so. And the direction the Biden administration is going for a few points in Michigan, let's be honest, this is about 2 points in Michigan. That's what it's about.
Because the majority of your country is still on the side of Israel.
Yeah, this is about Michigan. And how I think if it was not that I think Biden has ever been great on this issue, because I think he's really vacillated on this, but it's an election year. It's months away. Even though today's Fox poll shows that he's now slightly up.
Not in Michigan, though.
Not in Michigan. And that's what he's fighting over, 2 points in Michigan.
Right, and it's a shame because what's the interpretation in the Middle East? That we're equivocating and makes the Israel more vulnerable. Hamas thinks they're winning.
Yeah, they do. They do, because they don't care about their own civilians dying for them to win the PR war.
Right, and that's more than discouraging. Yep. Are you shocked at a city that allowed 9/11 to happen, that we haven't learned enough to now we allow people wearing Hamas regalia and their faces covered looking like the second coming of Yasser Arafat to happen in this city?
It's a totally, doesn't it feel like a different world than the 9/11 world? I don't feel like I'm in the same world as the 9/11 world. You and I, I'm sure, had the same reaction.
Someone saying pro-Hamas? We never dream of somebody saying that.
It's unbelievable. And listen, let me give Governor Hochul a little credit here, because she did speak out the other day, I think it was yesterday, against people wearing masks in public now. So that's a little bit different than what you're talking about. But that is true, too. You shouldn't be able to hide your face and commit assaults on Jews.
No, I agree with you. We're talking here with Jeff Lax. He's a CUNY professor over at Kingsborough Community College and founder of Safe Campus, which advocates the Zionist Jews discriminated against and excluded on college campuses. Now, the other thing is they're now putting out asking the public to support them as they try to find out who those Hamas sympathizers were on the subway who were saying, Zionists, this is your last chance to leave. And they're trying to see who didn't cover their face and try to round up the rest of them. Your reaction to hearing that chant?
Oh, my God. Visceral, horrific, terrifying. My first thought is, what if I was there? What would I do if I was there?
Right. And
I don't know.
Well, I mean, he says this is your last chance to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys look like they're in their 20s.
Brian, can I tell you the truth? I'm going to tell you something that I really shouldn't say because my wife is going to kill me and my mother's going to kill me. There's some things that I say to you. My mom kills me afterwards, okay? I would stay. I would stay. I would not move an inch. And my mother's going to hear this, and she's going to scream at me because she's going to say, you crazy? You're going to get killed. And I'm like, Mom, I'm doing this for the next generation. I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing it for my grandparents, bless their memories. Yeah,
I mean, Sid Rosenberg, this great WABC morning show host, was on the subway. They started screaming at him, are you Jewish? And he sat down right next to the guy and said, I'm Jewish too. What are you going to do? But the guy ended up walking away. But you have to show some fight.
Yeah. Yes. And I tell that to everybody. I tell any student, one of the big questions I get asked so often is, should I send my kid to college? And I'm like, wow, I've never expected to get a question like that in my life. Yeah, they say, what college or college? And I say, listen, you got to go to the best school for what you want to do with your life. Don't let this, speak out. We need more people to speak out because when people don't speak out, that, the old motto, right? Which is the old adage, the only thing evil needs to succeed is good men to remain silent.
Absolutely. So, Jeff, great to see you. Congratulations on putting together this organization by highlighting what's gone wrong with this decision, and hopefully find out more and we get some answers before they come back. The kids come back to school in September.
I hope so. Thank you so much, as always.
All right, Jeff Lax, thanks so much. When we come back, Brian Kilmeade Show, we have more.